Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You know, it's all you have to do if you're a Republican right now and you're looking in at 2022 and you're either running for re-election or you're hoping to get elected. All that you have to do a year into this presidency is just play news sound bites and hold up prices of gas station that are changing every single day. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. That should be your only campaign. Nothing else at this point in time. We talk voting rights, and we'll touch on that today. We talk about Omicron, and we'll talk about that today. The end of the day, though, when you go home, you may discuss a few things with your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad, your friends, or whatever, but it always comes back to the economy, the economy, the economy, because we feel it every single day. Prices are going up. Biden's approval rating is going down.
Who can budget? You just have to pay the price.
Americans, on average, paying about $250 more for the same things they were buying a year ago. Gas topping the charts, up nearly 50% from a year ago. Same for furniture, up just over 17%. And food, up 6.3%.
What I used to buy, let's say last year, that would cost me around $50 in groceries, almost doubles right now.
And at the pump, prices soared to over $4 a gallon in some states.
Yeah, think about that. That right there is your entire campaign. Do you want more of this, or is it time to put somebody else on the path? Do you want more of high inflation and insanity, or do you want reality and us getting back to where we were? Do you want more of $4, potentially $5, or do you want, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to get in there and to make sure that we start to get a handle on this inflation? What that needs to be the only thing. When my wife and I sit down, a lot of times we talk about the economy. We talk about how are people doing. She interacts with the public every single day. I always ask her, because I went out, we had like this mixer thing we did the other day. And when I was talking to the people, so I'm out there in this golf mixer, and I'm the youngest one. My wife and I are youngest ones by far, because a lot of it's retired people. They're still talking about the economy. They're still talking about how much gas is. They're still talking about, thank goodness they're out here in Arizona right now, because where they left, it was, 13 degrees as a high, -8 overnight. Prices are going through the roof. They're glad they don't have to heat their house this year. They're not talking about a lot of the other stuff, because even in retirement, and some of them are well off, they're still talking about the economy, stupid. And the gas prices, everybody knows. If you're not running on, hey, these guys are awful at whatever it is they're trying to do, this is the only sign I need. $2.39 this time last year, $4.08. I win.
Last month, gas prices dropped by 0.5%. But for this Lyft driver, he's still burning through gas to find customers and burning a hole in his wallet.
When there's no business, you have to drive too many miles to make less money. You spend too much on gas. What I used to buy is now double.
And the higher prices are even scaring some drivers away. Tommy Hondros owns this gas station in Lower Manhattan and says he used to have a line of cars.
150.
150.
Look how many I have now. One. It's insane. I used to have people come and fill up. Now they just, let me get $5. Let me get, I've seen $2.
Yeah, just to get home. Just to get home. There is your lead. There is the, hey, you guys can go play grab ass all day, talk politics, fight over the Voting Rights Acts, which you go and look at this voting rights bill. There are some things in there you're like, yeah, I agree with that. But the problem is what you guys are trying to do is change the rules to get something passed when the average person isn't talking about that. When you've had record number of people voting last year. or 2 years, you had a record number of people. And you're sitting here going, well, we need to do more. We need to do this. You're fighting over something where the average person isn't paying attention. They're looking at prices going through the roof, and you're trying to win Twitter.
Used car sales rose by 37% year over year as there were less new cars coming to market.
Created shortages of all kinds of things, from vehicles to lumber to clothing, and that caused prices to rise.
And that trickled down to the cost of food.
It's a constant rejuggling of budget to try to keep up with the food prices. Meats especially are increasingly expensive.
Halibut one week is $14 and the next week it's $24. Now it's $28.
Yeah. You feel that. You do. You absolutely feel that. And that right there, if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, when you go and look at the numbers of the president right now, the numbers of the president, a year in, only Trump had worse numbers. But here's the thing. Trump never had good numbers. Trump hovered between like 48 and 40. He never had good numbers, and he didn't have the entire media establishment on his side. I mean, day one of his presidency, Inauguration Day, front page of the Washington Post, the march to impeachment begins. Biden doesn't want to talk about this. He doesn't. He sends Jen Psaki out there to talk about it. He doesn't want to talk about this because he can't legislate it, he can't talk it, he can't tweet it away. He has to deal with it. And rather than being a leader that comes out and says, look, this ain't working. This ain't working for the American people. We got to do something. What is it that we can do? I can't fix everything, but there are things I can do. But he won't. I don't even know if he's capable at this point in time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Man. Every day it's something new. Every day there's something new with Omicron. What did I say yesterday, though? What's the biggest thing of all that will change this thing? It ain't a shot.
And imagine if in your earliest days of infection, you could get one of these drugs, it would virtually keep you out of the hospital, keep you from getting serious illness or death. And so I think both of these can and will change the future course of the pandemic.
That's right. Michael Osterholm there talking about therapeutics. Getting something within the first few days. Hey, I don't feel good. Took a test. I've got it. Yada, yada, yada. You go. You get your therapeutic. You move on. Make it easy, over the counter, those kind of things. That's what it should be. But government will get involved. The bureaucrats will get involved. And it'll turn to just absolute turd burglars. And nothing will get done the way it should be. But we know that. But that's it. Yesterday, I asked a question. I posed a question. I said, and this is just to show you the insanity. I asked the question, look, after your fourth shot, is it okay to question, essentially, the vaccine? Right? That it seems to be losing power quicker. That maybe, just maybe, we start asking different questions. And see, that's the problem with government. Government never asks a different question. They just stay on the same path. A government never says, oops, this isn't working. They stay on the same path, because to do that would make them look like they were wrong. So you continue to do the same thing over and over again. But I asked the question. I said, I have 2 vaccines and a booster. Still catch it. Then you say you might need a 4th and a 5th in the next few months. At what point do you finally say, I'm going to pass on that for now? Does that make you anti-vaxxer or just reasonable? The attack by some people out there. You're spreading misinformation. No, I'm not. Here's a perfect example. Out of South Africa, mRNA boosters do not work against Omicron at all. According to their study, it's not working to even stop it. The findings add evidence to the ability of the Omicron to evade the antibodies generated by COVID-19 vaccines. Luckily, Other protections, such as T-cell, appear to combat the strain, and so far hospital and mortality rates are far less severe. So that's a good news, but it does show you. You can't even ask a question without people attacking you. You wonder why we don't get anywhere. My goodness me. But what does government do? Government never changes course. That's the sad thing in all of this. Biden's looking around, inflation's going through the roof, not changing course. Not making a phone call to MBS over there to talk about, hey, you know what? You wanted a call, I'm giving you a call. Any way you could loosen up OPEC here, try to bring these prices down. Oh, he won't do that. Oh, but Chad, no, he won't. Here, we're finding out, we're focusing way too much on certain things by trying to get everybody who is not at risk, as well as people who are at risk, vaccinated, when we should be looking at therapeutics as well as giving the most vulnerable vaccinated in a right way. Government won't admit they're wrong. They're like Fonzie. Remember Fonzie from Happy Days? He won't do it. Never admit they're wrong. And when you have zero repercussions, even if you are wrong, why would you? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Hope all is good with you. You can check out Getter. You can check out all of the stuff. And again, I try to get back to as many people as possible. And I always ask, just keep it civil. I'm always amazed that people just can't keep stuff civil. They're just so angry all the time. And then they accuse everybody else of being angry. It's crazy. Your weight. Look, traditional diets, people struggle hard on those. Some people need just a kickstart. You know that. Others, they've got other issues. And so much of that has to do with your metabolism. Calibrate is amazing. It's completely different. Doctor-guided metabolic reset. And what it does is it promotes sustainable results through lifestyle changes. Simple ones. You get FDA-approved medication paired with lifestyle changes. Nothing massive. They're not telling you, you can only eat a can of tuna every 6 days. No, it's about small steps. What it does is it resets your metabolic, reset, where it gets your metabolism in an area where it feels comfortable. Because what happens is you get to a certain place with your weight and you feel comfortable, and your body does, and it says this is where we should be. And then when you start to lose weight, it panics. This is what it does. It resets that. So when you lose weight, it doesn't panic. It thinks it's normal. Calibrate's earliest members lost on average 14% of their body weight. Many of them lost well over 20%. So what are you waiting for? Easy to do, easily fits into your lifestyle. Try Calibrate today. Your weight doesn't reflect your willpower. Get back in control with Calibrate. $50 off the one-year metabolic reset when you use promo code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. Go to joincalibrate.com. Use promo code CHAD. Joincalibrate.com. Promo code CHAD. Chad Benson Show.
Podcasts are American as hot dogs, apple pie, football, and sushi.
Oh my goodness. No.
Okay, maybe not sushi. Next time you have a craving for something sweet and tangy, download a Chad Benson Show podcast.
Boy.
That is good. It's different because you get a little bit of saltiness.
It's so good because it's sweet and salty at the same time.
Get a taste on iTunes, iHeart, or Spotify and binge to your ears' content.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
The White House is calling this the largest deployment of personal protective equipment in U.S. history. 400 million non-surgical N95 masks will be made available to Americans from the Strategic National Stockpile. But there are several key unanswered questions about how this handout program will work. Americans can get masks at local pharmacies or community health centers, but the White House so far has not said how many masks per person. And it's not clear if there will be an effort to prevent someone from going to multiple pharmacies to pick up masks.
Oh, my God. There's going to be a mass theft? You're going to be a mass hoarder? Yeah. There's some people out there like that. Listen to this nut job. This is exactly everything you need to know about how this person lives in sheer abject, just sheer terror all the time. Why they're even at a restaurant is insane.
Every time this happens, I just walked into a restaurant, I had my mask, and people were waiting, not eating, without masks on. What the people? Wear your mask! Wear your mask! It's the law.
It's the law. It's an executive order that we set. It's the law. Well, it's not really the law. And so what? Are you vaccinated? I'm going to go with that guy's probably vaccinated. Probably several vaccines coursing through his veins. Right? I'm going to go with that. On top of that, and I think this is mightily important. Do they have the proper mask? Do they have that N95? Not the one in China that they're sending you over. They're like, this is an N95. No, it's not. It's dressed up like one, but it's not really. It's like people who buy kit cars. You're like, man, it's a Porsche. Like, yeah, but you got a Pinto engine in there, so it's really not a Porsche. You've just dressed up the outside. So settle down. Settle down. And I've been saying forever, these masks work. Yes, the proper mask, and if you wear it correctly, absolutely is fantastic. With Omicron, we're finding out they don't work at all. And cloth mask, face dressings, those things don't work at all. Watching people go through the motion to put this thing on, and I've got this one that's up front, doesn't fit my face very well. But watching everybody go through the motions is amazing. Knowing full well this thing doesn't work, but now they've got me trained. Kabuki Theater. 323-538-2423. Also, yesterday, you can go sign up and get your free just in time for the end of Omicron. You're free four tests sent to your house. So you should get those just in time for the Omicron to pass by. What? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm telling you guys this. Government will never say oops. They'll never say we screwed up. They will never say we got it wrong. Ever. Yesterday we touched on it. Like the war on drugs. In particular, marijuana. I think every right-minded individual go, yeah, marijuana's not bad for you. Not the way that meth is, or cocaine, or heroin, or fentanyl, and Oxycontin. They'll never say, oops. So rather than redo it, they just kind of ignore it and lets the states handle it. That's you do you. They'll never say, we did it right. It's the same thing with schools, right? People ask, there's no way in hell we should have ever closed schools. But we did have a vaccine. There was no way in hell. Every single study, for all intents and purposes across the board, showed that kids weren't big spreaders. Also shows that their well-being was being absolutely affected. I've heard people on the record go as far as saying this blunder of closing schools will be felt for decades. It will go down as one of our biggest blunders of all time. And I was like, yeah, I could see that. Told you guys last week about my little brother. What has happened to him is absolutely horrific, and how far he has fallen behind, and how much he hates school now. It took them forever to get him to a place where he was comfortable in school with his dyslexia and learning problems, and how far he fell behind. Because teachers' unions and progressive dumbass ideas of we need to save the world, we need to get to zero, we need to get all of those things were insane and never going to happen. But alas, here we are. Because government can't say, you know what? I screwed up. We screwed up. Government doesn't have the cojones to say, nah, can't do it. What we did was wrong. Now, when they start to get it is only when their jobs are on the line. That's when they start to go, ooh, you saw that in Chicago, right? Lori Lightfoot and a bunch of other people who were like, you guys, we can't close schools again. And the only reason they came back is because they started to hear from parents in a way that they haven't heard from parents before. And they know, we're going to need those parents because in a few months we might have to ask them to raise taxes on people, so we better be good to them. Trust me, that ship has sailed. People who are allies of teachers, is because we love to use that word allies. I have a lot of friends who are allies of teachers, and they're like, yeah, next time you come ask us to raise money for you, kiss my ass. They say almost 1 million kids dropped out of school, will not be coming back. Enrollment in public school is down. And when I hear people make the argument of, well, it was what we... Look, the first 2 weeks, it's understandable. Let's figure it out. But after that, it became ridiculous. But that's what politics is nowadays. It's ridiculous. None of it's serious. None of it's real. Case in point. They're going to have a vote today. They're voting. That's it. They're voting. Period. Case closed. They're going to vote. Yeah, they're voting on the Voting Rights Act. And it really depends on if you're a normal person who's gone through and read some of it, or if you're one of these people that only read like the headline and then you react to it in that way. Oh, they want to change the rules so they can essentially nationalize voting. That's what they want. They want to change the rules so they can nationalize in many places the way that you vote, how you vote. And they do it through scare tactics. It's not through sitting down and reading it and going, all right, well, let's see what all of this is about. Because there's probably some stuff in there you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I got no problem with that. And then there's other stuff you're like, I don't want any of that. But that's what we are. We're extremes. And the funny thing is they want to kill the filibuster. I just want to let you guys know. The Democrats want to kill the filibuster. Kill it. 2019 and 20, they used it 328 times. The Republican used it once. I will say that again. 328 times they used the filibuster. They want to kill that because, well, they do, thinking they'll never be in the minority again.
Stevie Wonder has a message for senators.
Which, by the way, anytime you know Stevie Wonder's got a message for you, listen up. I thought he lived in Ghana. Didn't he move to Ghana? Well, what do you care about this politics over here then?
Stevie Wonder has a message for senators. He's telling them, in his words, to cut the bull, the BS. Sports giants, including Alabama's Nick Saban, are putting the pressure on Senator Joe Manchin to pass voting rights. Is more sustained pressure from outside the political arena what it will take eventually to shift this dynamic?
There are 100 senators, and every one of them is going to have to determine what side of history do they want to be on.
No, that's you're trying to evoke emotion out of people saying, if you don't vote for this, black people don't vote. That's the dumbest thing in the world. We had more people vote in the last election. Many of what people want to do, right? Like states is let's return to pre-COVID way of voting. Now, are there some states that are overstepping? Absolutely. But there's also other states that are like, yeah, we don't really care. Go ahead. What's this all? New Mexico wants to lower the voting age to 16 and let felons vote. That's a new one. But that's okay. My goodness me. Stevie, please speak for us.
Stop the hypocrisy.
Okay.
Any senator who cannot support the protection of voting rights in the United States of America cannot say that they support the Constitution. Cut the bull-ish. If you care and support our rights, do the hard work. You can't please everybody, but you can protect all of us. And to keep it all the way real, the filibuster is not working for democracy.
Keep it all the way real. The filibuster doesn't work for democracy. Cory Booker.
It's beyond even Mitch McConnell. I mean, he's changed it for Supreme Court voters. He changed it. He found a way around it to pass that toxic Trump tax cut. But it's been changed over the years 166 times for things that, in my opinion, are far trivial when it compares with the most fundamental aspect of a democracy, one person, one vote.
Yeah. Except for when you go and you look, 161 times it's been altered or changed, but nothing to do with anything of real significance when it comes to actual bills themselves. Debt ceilings, little things like that. Who used the nuclear option before? Boom. One of the things that, if you want to get back to it in the old school way, is all you have to do now is say, hey, we're going to filibuster. And they're like, all right, well, they're going to filibuster it, so it's done. It used to be, if you wanted to filibuster, you had to stand up there for hours and you had to be on the floor all the time, giving a speech, killing it, running the clock out. Now you just have to threaten it. But here is what it's all about.
The facts are the facts. Are we comfortable living in a nation where the average black voter has to wait twice as long to vote? Georgia, where you see people having 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9 hour waits. What does that do? It discourages people from voting. And that's not the only laws that are being passed, finally tailored to discourage certain populations, from young people, Native Americans, African Americans. These are the facts.
It's always about the race. And just to let you guys know, you pulled and forced them to pull the All-Star game out of Georgia because of the rules and put it in where? So how many small business owners are in Atlanta in particular, which is where the All-Star game was, that are black? Tremendous amount. So you pulled that out and hurt them to show them how much you care about them and moved it to a much more white and restrictive voting state as in Denver and Colorado. So you moved it to a city that is more restrictive and more white to show everybody we care about you. Oh, that's not what? Oh, yeah, there is the asinineness. It's about, how many times have we talked about it? If I tell you, hey, I want to pass these tax cuts, and you're like, oh, how do you do it? Well, don't worry, because we're going to call it You Love to Cuddle a Penguin, and if you don't vote for this, You Hate Penguins Act. And everybody's like, I'm not passing that thing. And you're like, well, that must because you hate penguins. And see, that's all this thing is today. Here's the show of it, right? Let's get people on the record saying we are not for this federal takeover of elections. We're not for this. And they're going to say, well, it's because you don't like black people. Because that's all you have. Because you're not sitting in a world of facts. You're not. And you have to come up with the same BS over and over again.
Voter suppression laws have devastating consequences for real Americans every day.
Yep. Except for the part where when you go and look at the last election, we had more people vote in the last election than ever before, including people of color, different races, gender. But it doesn't matter. Because it's not about whether or not that's true. Truth matters very little. Emotion, in particular, for a lot of people on the left, matter a lot. They don't read the bill. They don't understand it. They just see it and say, oh, well, John Lewis was a good guy. So you want to change the rules. Yeah, but just this once to do this. I'm going to go back to Friday. And I'm telling you guys, this is the scary thing. So this is Friday, and this is Tammy Duckworth. Now remember, you're not going to be in the majority. for a long time. Hell, you guys do this, you might not be in the majority for much more than a few more months.
We can do the same thing for voting rights legislation where we're saying this is so critically important to our nation. We're going to suspend the filibuster the way it is for this one vote in order to make sure we protect Americans' rights to vote.
So you're going to suspend it just for once. Nothing, just one time. Because otherwise, it's okay. Just one time, just once, please.
She's missing the mark. She said this before where she thinks that she's...
It's talking about Kirsten Sinema, who says, no, if we give into this, the extremes are going to run the parties on both sides. And Tammy looks, she's missing the mark. And they're going to say, isn't it going to bite you in the ass?
Preserving the institution that it's a blunt force that could be used against any party that's in the minority, including the Democrats, once we are, if we're no longer in the majority. But frankly, we're talking about restoring the filibuster. We're talking about changing the rules for this one vote.
So what you're saying is, let us vote how we want to vote. Let's suspend it and vote in this direction. And in doing so, once we get it passed, we'll change the rules back. So you guys can't do it. Yeah, no. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. And by the way, even if you're a Democrat and you hear that crap, you have to go, well, hold on. You want to change the rules to get your thing done, but you don't want them to change the rules down the road at all. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, so you want to, you're like my son when I play a game with him. Dad, I'm going to make up the rules as we go, and as long as I win, it's good. Don't worry, though. Pop always wins. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Longevity. People ask me, how do I stay young? Well, first of all, eat okay. That's a good thing, right? Second thing is I'm always full of energy, and part of that is because I know I don't eat great. 87% of us don't meet the vegetable guidelines. 76, how about the fruits and vegetables? Now, look, across the board, I'm not. I eat like a 5-year-old at times. That's where longevity comes in. Right now, 90 for life. Longevity is incredible. It is truly amazing. What it does is it says, look, we know you don't eat great. Why don't we give you a supplement that is going to change all of that and give you the nutrients you're missing? 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, powerful blend of essential fatty acids, all this incredible stuff. And it is amazing. The taste is incredible, and it delivers what it's supposed to. It gives me tons of energy. I feel amazing. Right now, I want you to try it. 90 for life. 90 essential nutrients, plus many of the other great things longevity has to offer. You will not be disappointed. Go to ChadBensonHealth.com right now. Kickstart your true wellness experience. You will not be disappointed. Check out all the incredible products. ChadBensonHealth.com or call 855-321-HEALTH. That's 855-321-HEALTH. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
How many of you out there are taking advantage of COVIDcation? What is that? That's something I coined. But I bet it's a lot more than people realize, right? Especially if you're younger. And you're like, oh, my friend tested positive for COVID. And so, what do you guys want me to do? They're like, well, we want you to just take a test and stay home for 5 days. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then nobody can say anything, right? Because it's tough to find workers. Because if you knew your job could be in trouble and you liked your job, your ass is shutting up. You ain't saying a word. You're like, I don't say anything. Now you're putting cool air on your head, you know? It's like you're putting ice on there just in case you have a little bit of a fever. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What's the latest thing that you could potentially have that says, you blink? Oh, geez, don't let him see you blink or they won't let me in the building. My mom took my little brother, Spencer. If you guys don't, if you're new to the show, my brother, Spencer, he's actually my nephew. My mother adopted him. He's 18. He's in a wheelchair. He has never walked in his life. He is got brain damage. He has got cerebral palsy. He eats out of a tube. He breathes out of a tube. They made her wait outside to get into this medical place. And it was like, my mom's telling me, she goes, it's like 90 degrees or 80 degrees. It's the sun's beating down on him. And he's got red hair, like bright red hair and fair skin. My mom's doing everything to cover him up. And then they took his temperature and they're like, we can't let him in. He's burning up. My mom's like, you're making a stand in the hot sun. And the lady that knew my mother came out and said, look, just walk him around the block a couple times, splash some water on him, we'll do it again. And his temperature was normal. But that's the insanity of it. People coming out in hazmat suits. Oh, my God. Crazy! COVIDcation. You taking one? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. The filibuster. 328 times the Democrats used the filibuster from 2019 to 2020. GOP once. Yeah. Get rid of what? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Look up today. Make sure that those airplanes are not crashing. Today's that 5G network, right? Like everybody's terrified. Everybody. Wait, I thought 5G was delayed. Apparently, AT&T Verizon activated 90% of their 5G networks, which has caused international travel chaos. So Emirates, Al Nippon, Japanese Airlines, Air India, British Airways, Cathay Pacific, and Korean Airlines apparently are going to be grounded today over the fear that apparently the altimeter, so where the 5G signal will cross its path and they'll bleed into each other, is what they're saying is the altimeter, which reflects the signal off the ground. Tell the guy, hey, this or gal, this is how far you are away from stuff. And like, it's really needed in poor weather. That's really needed in poor weather. Fog, things of that nature. And apparently they will cross in certain areas just at the like, you know, like you ever seen when people draw a circle, they'll draw another circle and another circle. And in that little area right in the center where all of them, that's where it'll apparently cross. And that's the worry that this will cause it. And, you know, the airline pilots, and it's understandable. You're flying several thousand feet in the air. And this is when you're approached. This is not when you're 33,000 feet in the air. But because at 33,000 feet, unless you're in Nepal, you probably shouldn't hit anything. But it's on the approach that they worry about that. And some people are like, yeah, you know, you guys are overthinking it. But others, as a pilot, rightly so. You know, no, I mean, we're not. It's understandable. Trust me, I think it's understandable. All that being said, the FAA is Jack the Pooch. And that's what AT&T, Verizon, all of them said yesterday. Hey, guys, FAA, who by the way, allowed remember the Boeing, the MAX? You guys allowed that 737 knowing there was all kinds of issues if you didn't buy all the stuff and train your people properly to get through. And so they crashed those things in places where they bought the bare minimum and didn't have proper training on the systems. That same group, you had 2 years to get this right. This wasn't a surprise. This wasn't you woke up And like, I'll be damned. They turned 5G on today. Nobody told me that was happening. It's like people are always surprised the elections here. Why are you surprised? It happens every 4 years. Every 4 years it happens. On a Tuesday in November. It's like, really? Like, is that new? I feel like it's new. But they were pissed at the FAA, and that is understandable because government bureaucracy got in the way. And I'm all about safety when it comes to airplanes. I mean, it's not like a car. Your car breaks down, something goes wrong, you kind of pull over. At 20,000 feet, going down to 10,000 feet, then all of a sudden you're having issues going through fog. Nobody wants that. But the FAA had a heads up, and they were supposed to be working on it. And then it was like, it's not really working the way we thought. So did you guys cut that out? Is there any part of that? Maybe? I don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. America, guess what's going up? Every single thing you could think of. If I'm a Republican and I am running to unseat a Democrat at the pace that this is going, my commercials would sound like, well, this.
Who can budget? You just have to pay the price.
Americans, on average, paying about $250 more for the same things they were buying a year ago. Gas topping the charts, up nearly 50% from a year ago. Same for furniture, up just over 17%. And food, up 6.3%.
What I used to buy, let's say last year, that would cost me around $50 in groceries, almost doubles right now.
And at the pump, prices soared to over $4 a gallon in some states.
Yeah. So just to let you know that's going to get much, 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 much worse. Much worse. Traders are now betting well over $100 a barrel. So people who are in the commodities markets, people who are traders, they're not investors in the way they're trading for short-term profits. That's their job. In, out, in, out. They are now betting by buying call options for Brent crude of well over $100. It's about 80-something now. Depends on the moment. But when you see that, understand that means that gas is going to go up, 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 up. And that is not a good sign. That is not a good sign for inflation. That's why I just said, if I'm a Republican running in a race, and my goal is to win the race, and I know that this president is not, at this moment in time, going to pick up the phone and call MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who's basically the head of OPEC, and say, is there any way you could turn the spigot on? What do we need you to do at this moment in time? We just sold you $600 million in weapons. Is there anything that we need to do to get you to turn that spigot on? Now, he might say no, but he might say yes. And it's been reiterated over and over again, not on this show, but everywhere, that he would love a phone call from the president. Not from a lackey, but from the president. Inflation is going up. Americans are paying more and more for things. And when you feel that, every time you go to the gas station, that is the number one driver of people being pissed off at the inflation world right now, is the gas station. Because you might not go to the grocery store but once a week. And it's the little death by 1,000 cuts in certain areas if you can get things. But you will go to that gas station usually twice a week, 3 times a week, plus you're driving by it every single day, and you're seeing prices rise, and you're seeing prices rise, and you're seeing them going up, and you're saying to yourself, this ain't good.
Last month, gas prices dropped by 0.5%. But for this Lyft driver, he's still burning through gas to find customers and burning a hole in his wallet.
When there's no business, You have to drive too many miles to make less money. You spend too much on gas. What I used to buy is now double.
And the higher prices are even scaring some drivers away. Tommy Hondros owns this gas station in Lower Manhattan and says he used to have a line of cars.
150. 150. Look how many I have now. One. It's insane. I used to have people come and fill up. Now they just, let me get $5. Let me get, I've seen $2.
Yeah. I've seen that. How many of you have gone into a gas station in the last several, weeks and A, seen the sticker where it says, I did that with Biden, but B, see somebody put like $2.83 in or whatever they had. It all adds up. This administration, outside of Trump, is the lowest rated first-year president in history. Outside of Trump. Think about that. He was going to restore everything. He was going to get rid of the virus, which I never thought he was going to get rid of. He was going to do so many of these great things, and he has fallen flat. And most importantly for me, he's addressed very little of it. But he's sending us masks. Oh, who cares? Does anybody really care? You're going to send us a mask? How many of you have a mask? Are you really waiting to get that mask? No. He's sending us tests. Great. Just in time for the thing to be done with as it works its way through the country. With no guarantee, by the way, if you went on and signed up, that you're going to get all 4 tests or any test. But when you look at inflation and you look at this, the average person isn't staying up at night going, oh, man, I don't know about voting rights, or, oh, man, I don't know about what's going on in the Ukraine or the Uyghurs or any of these things. All of those things are important. But you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to get to work tomorrow? I got enough gas to get there, but I don't know if I have enough gas to get home. That's what people are thinking about. And my kid's going to be in school tomorrow, or some bureaucrat going to go, you know what, I think we should close schools because, so-and-so tested positive, so we've got to sweep the place for mines, and then we'll bring, the kids back in a week or so, and they can all learn from home. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. All I would do if I was a Republican is just, my campaign ad would be just signs of gas stations at this point. Even though you can't do a lot, doesn't matter. How many people have left the Democratic Party? Gallup said it was the biggest jump they've ever seen in the 30 years they were doing it. And the independents have fled from Biden. And they got their heads down like, don't look at me. Oh, we're looking at you. We're looking at you. Had every chance to put Mickey Mouse in the White House, and you chose not to. Oh, boy. All right, kids. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Give it to my dogs every single day. My dog, Doodle, we've talked about. He's old. He's cantankerous. He's annoying. He didn't have energy 2 years ago. He didn't. He wasn't feeling well, and if you got near his hind legs, he'd get growly and bitey because they hurt so bad. But he would just chill with me. Now he bounces, he runs, he has fun, and I do love it. I love the fact that he's still here, and I love the fact that he is just in the best place he has been, and it's great. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369. If you love your pets like I love my pets, you sprinkle it on top, and you let it do its thing. You don't have to change food or anything crazy. You don't have to go out and buy gourmet food. You watch what happens. Help with its hips. It's help with their fur and their skin. It is truly, truly amazing. Try it before you buy it. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Get you a free bag. You cover the cost of shipping. Ruffgreens.com/Chad. Free bag for you. Cover the cost of shipping, or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid?
What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Take a peek and find out what's trending. Carhartt is trending. People are mad, make those clothes, because it went from buy Carhartt to buy Carhartt, BYE versus BUY, because apparently they have a vaccine mandate. And the companies doubled down on that, even though the Supreme Court blocked Biden's mandate last week. They said, we put workplace safety at the very top of our priority list. The Supreme Court recent ruling doesn't impact that core value. Valdi, CEO, sent an email to staff Friday. Per copy of the email was published all over social media. We in the medical community continue to believe the vaccines are necessary to ensure a safe working environment for every possible associate and even perhaps their households. An unvaccinated workforce is both a people and business risk that our company is unwilling to take. And people are like, we're mad at you. And I'm just like, so what? It's their business. You conservatives out there, this is their business. If that's what they want, then let it be. You don't have to work there. If you're like, man, I'm really mad. I'm mad. It don't work there. It's that simple. My God. Free COVID test. 2 million people searched yesterday. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. It's going to be a fight there. For sure. On that one. Brianna Kupfer, if you guys haven't heard that story, we might touch on it later. She was the young UCLA co-ed who was murdered by, are you guys ready for this? A career criminal that was out on virtually no bail. She even texted earlier that she felt uncomfortable with this guy. Something about him. And he is now the suspect. I think there is if I am correct, there is a $300,000 reward out for him. Head on over to Twitter. The battle is always politics here. Here's something that's not. Happy birthday, Dolly Parton. Happy birthday, Dolly Parton. What? Yep. She turns a year older. Oh, no way. Emily's List says it will no longer endorse Senator Sinema as she holds firm on the filibuster. Stevie Wonder, as we heard earlier, is just like, you know what, I think you guys, enough of this BS. I could see right now that this is baloney. Do you see Shaq talk about the time? He's like, yeah, Stevie Wonder, he could see. I don't think anybody says. He starts talking about how he got an elevator with him. And he's talking about, like, he goes, I'm telling you guys, Stevie Wonder could see. Oh, my goodness me. That's it. And Astroworld, the tragedy, took place earlier this year, is being discussed in a new light because Live Nation has an upcoming When We Were Young festival. Has to do with insurance. How are they going to monitor that? So that is trending because people I'm telling you guys, people are a little unsure about what to do next when it comes to these big festivals after that horrific incident. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I love when people talk about Oh, this is very popular. You hear that? This is very popular amongst the people. It's very popular. This right here is super popular. When we poll people, this is popular.
What we seem to be seeing is that Republicans, even those who behind the scenes support aspects of this bill or have supported it in the past, do not want to talk about it on the floor because it's popular.
Yeah, it's popular. It's popular. That is Trevor Potter. He's a lawyer, former commissioner and chair of the United States Federal Election Commission, talking about the filibuster. Right, so it's the filibuster. We've got to get rid of it. So you're going to have two votes, right? The first vote is we got to get rid of the filibuster. The second vote is then we need to be able to do whatever we want to do. And then we're going to replace the filibuster again so you guys can't do it. But saying something's popular, free ice cream is popular. It is. Free ice cream is popular. Here's the other thing that drives me crazy, but I've always said this. This is who we've become in this nation, especially when it comes to just about anything.
One of the things we learned in the pandemic last year is that many people would vote if it were more convenient, if it wasn't during their work hours, if they could drop a ballot off on their way home, if they could drive to a polling place and stay in their car and vote through the window.
That, again, it's like one thing we learned. Why don't you say what it is? One thing we've learned from all of this is we are lazy as it gets. You know what would be popular if we told everybody, hey, you guys can now all vote from your phone? That'd be pretty popular amongst a lot of people. Oh, that sounds great. What, you kidding me? Oh, great. Free ice cream, again, is popular. I bet if you polled a bunch of people, hey, we figured out how to clone a dinosaur, we're going to bring it back, but it's going to be kept in a zoo and it can't escape. People are like, well, that's pretty good. Everything seems great when you explain it. And then when you get to the nuts and the bolts of the actual explanation, right? It's like, I love a hot dog. I don't want to see it made. But I just like, well, it'll be really convenient. But that's who we are. It'll be really convenient. It's if I didn't have to leave the house, but I still got to vote. I mean, that'd be pretty convenient. You know, it'd be pretty convenient. If I wanted to order food and have somebody bring it to me anywhere I wanted it, not just a pizza, any kind of food, well, here, maybe they could feed me. Like, that's where we are. Seems pretty popular. But they're going to have, they go, and what they do is, remember, the vote is not about really passing something. I don't even know if they all believe the crap that they spew. Last week, the Democrats, by the way, for those of you who are just like, the filibuster's evil and it's wrong, the Democrats last week used the filibuster to essentially blow up the Russian sanctions bill. Because Russia, as we know, is getting closer and closer to whatever it is that they're going to do. Still waiting, just a smidge. Still waiting. Need it to be a little bit colder. Those tanks they need some more ice out there. But that's where we are at this moment in time. It's pretty popular. You know what I mean? It's kind of popular, like if we were just be able to not. That's why I said, people always say, we're going to another civil war. No, we're not. We're not going to another civil war. You know why? Because we overestimate what people will do, but we really should, and we underestimate people's laziness. So we're overestimating the want to do something. Yeah, these people are driven. They just want, they're emotional. They're ready to do a civil war. Then we're like, hey, but it's going to take place here, and you're going to have to go there. Really? Because I don't really want to do that. That's a lot of travel. I don't know. Maybe, probably. Ask me the day of. That's who we are. Welcome to America. America! Oh, my goodness me. Let's just get back to it being Wednesday, and it's time for wokeness. Now, if you guys know, we do Woke Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we talk about woke things. We want to keep you woke, right? That's part of who we are as a species now, as being extremely woke. Who we are as a group of people, it's being woke, right? And we want to make sure that you understand everything in the woke world of stuff. Because if you don't get it, you could be in trouble. And we don't want you to be in trouble. We don't want you to say something that will get you in trouble with somebody because you've done something wrong. You've misgendered, misidentified. You essentially just missed.
In the coming months, I am going to be able to watch some of my best friends and some of my closest companions get the body of their dreams that matches their gender, that makes them feel happy, and in exchange, I'm going to have to give up my own. I'm cisgender, the majority of my headmates aren't, and we've decided to transition. Which means that as happy as I am for the men in my system, I am about to have to watch myself go through the wrong puberty. And it's going to be permanent. You know, I hear people say all the time, the one thing you have control over is your own body and your own reactions, and I don't have that.
You know it's a mental illness at that point, right? Like we don't want to say it because it's the sadness thing. We don't want to say things that make people feel sad, or it's. Yesterday we talked about how medical schools are having issues with medical students because they want to push back on stuff that's actually science, because they think that because you're trying to bring the environment that you live in into the reality of how something works, and it doesn't work that way. So think about that. It's like she's lost it because she has this belief that everybody gets to choose their own body. Like we're just going to go to the body shop and say, well, you know what? I'm going to take one of those and one of these. But when I hear people like that, I think to myself, you have other problems. Not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. There are people out there who've transitioned and they were fine with it and nothing. But there's a lot of people out there, and we're going to hear more and more about this as we go ahead in the future, of doctors who are getting sued left, right, and center. We had Abigail Schreier on talking about the damage that's being done and how doctors feel like they're in this position where if I don't do something, I'm going to be in trouble and potentially lose my license. And by doing something, I also know in the future, it's going to come back and probably haunt me. But when I hear somebody like that, who's that upset about her personalities and all these things, I'm thinking, this is not, you have a problem. You need to speak to someone. And we had a guy on a few years ago when I was doing the show out in Palm Springs, and he was one of the first people who ever transitioned back in like the 70s or 80s. And then he changed back 7 years later. And he said, my problems followed me. And I found that to be very fascinating. My problems followed me from point A to point B. Like, just because you live in a different house doesn't mean you don't have problems. She continues.
This isn't my body. These aren't my reactions or my memories. I have like 30 people living in my brain, and everything I do belongs to us as a group. That's what's so hellish about this disorder. My parents me up, and now I will never have full bodily autonomy. Anyways, everybody say congratulations to the men in my system because they get to transition, and we're happy for them.
You have problems. I mean, that's just it. You've got issues. I'm not trying to be horrible or mean. I'm just being completely honest with that's, this is where we need to have bigger discussions, where I think we're doing children wrong. If my son comes to me and says, hey, Dad, I think I'm a girl now. And in California, they'd be like, oh, and everybody throw a party for him. I say, you know what? If you want to, whatever, live like a girl, that's fine. We're not doing anything else until you get older. Oh, that's wrong and evil. If he comes to me and says, Dad, I want to be sleeved up, and he's already said that, I want to get tats like you, Dad. I said, you know what? No. You wait till you get older. Then you find the thing that you want, you put it away for a while, and you come back to it later. And if you really love it, well, that's one thing. When you're able to make that decision. But if I would have taken him to get tatted up, I'd be in all kinds of trouble. We've lost the plot. Once again, you wonder why the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters. It's little things like this that add up because people are starting to push back. people are saying, hey, look, all Trump aside, enough. All Trump aside, enough. I text this to Anthony last night, and I said, here's the weird thing, Anthony. I don't know if it's believable or not, this story. It probably isn't. The scary thing about this is there's always a chance in this weird world now that it could be real.
Just when I thought school couldn't get any weirder, it did today. I'm a sub, and the most important thing we do is take rolls so the school gets paid. So I'm looking at the seating chart as I'm going up and down the rows and marking who's here and who's not. I get to the third row, and I hear this, meow. Excuse me? Excuse me? I start looking to the fourth row, everything's good. Go to the fifth row, everybody's there. Then I hear, meow. I'm like, okay, what's up with that? Who's doing it?
So now she alleges this, and I'm seeing it in more and more places, that she was basically fired because she didn't acknowledge the identity of a child that thought the child was a kitty.
And this little girl in the very front row says, you have to meow back at him. He identifies as a cat. Are you kidding me? I said, is there a litter box in here somewhere? My sarcasm self probably shouldn't have said that. He gets up and he storms out of the classroom. And I'm like, rough. And of course, the entire class is laughing. And I think, no problem, no foul.
And at first I'm like, well, she's a sub, right? Like everybody screwed with substitutes. We did this one time in class where we all went by everybody else's name to piss off the substitute. She got really upset. She was really she was tearing up and stuff. And it was, and the principal came to me and said, hey, just if you could tamper it down a little bit kind of thing. And, but we've all screwed with subs. So I don't know if this is real, but we shouldn't even be questioning this at this point in time, but you have to, because people have lost the plot.
I go to the office. You ready for this? You check out. They said, we no longer need your services if you can't identify with all the children in the classroom. And you wonder why they don't have any subs. I told the lady, I said, I didn't know cats were considered people.
I don't know if it's real, but it's not about whether or not it is. It's always about whether at this point in time when you hear somebody say, I've got 400 bodies in me and they're all transitioning, and that person's being real, you just never know anymore. That's scary. You know what's not scary? Losing weight, getting fit. Man, I'm talking to you guys out there. Ladies, you guys can try Nutrisystem as well. But Nutrisystem is amazing. Today, I had a Canadian bacon, egg, and muffin sandwich. It was awesome. I don't feel hungry. I feel full. Thank you, Nutrisystem. I'm dropping weight. I could feel it in my shirts and the clothes that I wear. And right now, what I love about the way they do this for men is they're going to give you an extra 30 grams of protein. So the food, filling, and delicious. Restaurant faves are incredible. They taste like your favorite restaurants. Portioned with half the calories. So much of that is right. Half the calories portioned correctly. Like beef and bean burritos, which I love. Toasted ravioli, sesame beef with broccoli. That's what I'm having for lunch today. Easy to prepare, made in minutes. And because of the nutritional science and the way that they've done it, your blood sugars, guess what? Level, steady. Once they're right there, you start to drop weight and you'll feel it. Right now, 50% off for my listeners. Boom! 50% off. Nutrisystem.com/Chad. 50% off. You heard me right. Go there. Now, it's not going to last forever. 50% off. Nutrisystem.com/Chad. Off all plans, ladies. That's you too. Don't wait. Special offer. Go, go, go. Nutrisystem.com/Chad. Nutrisystem.com/Chad. Results may vary. Offer restrictions apply. See website for details. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it
It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
I know how to feel about this because I do enjoy Weird Al. I enjoy Weird Al Yankovic. Any man that could parlay some goofy looks, parody songs, and the accordion into an absolutely amazing musical career, that's a win right there. I'm sorry. You're doing something right. You're living good. You're living good. So why not do a documentary / one of those rock doc that's got real actors in it, but it's about it. And sometimes you get the likes of, like Nicolas Cage is getting ready to play himself in a movie about Nicolas Cage, which is so Nicolas Cage. Howard Stern played himself in a movie. Why not? Weird Al. Well, they went with somebody else.
He's the king of song parody, and he's the king of all things magic.
I'm Harry Potter.
And now Harry Potter star Daniel Radcliffe has his next role playing Weird Al Yankovic.
It's a party in the CIA.
Weird. The Weird Al Yankovic story will be a movie for the Roku channel, produced by Funny or Die, and co-written by Weird Al himself. The Grammy winner says in a statement that when his last movie, UHF, came out in 1989, he made a promise to fans to release a film every 33 years, and he's right on schedule. Filming starts next month.
That is so Weird Al. Representing Downey. You know what's funny? You think of Downey, small place in California. I do believe he's the second most famous singer from Downey, because if I'm correct, I believe the Carpenters are also from Downey. Downey! He plays the accordion. You gotta love that. I wonder how many albums he sold. He's got to have sold several million albums. 3 decades. He's done over 1,000 live shows. He's got 5 Grammys, 11 nominations, 4 gold records, 6 platinum in the U.S. That is white and nerdy, straight out of Linwood. So spectacular. I don't know how I feel about Daniel Radcliffe. I know he's a good actor, right? And it's still hard to look at him and think, you kind of still are Harry Potter. Like, all of them are kind of still Harry Potter. But I bet he pulls it off. But, man, it would have been nice to see Weird Al pull some of that off. And I watched UHF at the theaters when I was a kid. I thought it was funny. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Please do. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The vote will fail, not a shocker. That's the whole point of doing the voter so what they're going to do is they're going to go out and they're going to say, hey, we need to do 2 votes here. The first vote, though, is we need to change the rules for the filibuster, which will go, wow. And then the second vote they'll do, which is the vote for, quote unquote, the voting rights bill, which would essentially federalize our elections. We're a states' rights country, so I'm not a fan of that. There's some things in there I'm like, I got no problem with that. But like everything, rather than get together, this is where adults get stuff done. They get together and they go, look, we've explained this 1,000 times. What are your haves? What are your wants? These are my haves. These are my wants. Knowing I may have one half that I have to peel off, but you're going to have to do the same thing. And these are some things I want. I don't expect to get them, but I want them. And there may be one or so of those that I actually end up getting. These are my haves. I have to have this. I must have this. But in politics today, it's I must have this or nothing. And then you run back to Twitter and raise money. But nobody looks at the bill. What's in the bill? Nobody looks at it. Well, we've had more people vote in the last election than any time ever. Well, we've got more people. Yes. There's been plenty of times where people just didn't vote, and it's understandable. It's understandable. So today they'll grandstand.
If there's no effort to suppress the vote, why are states from Texas to Montana restricting the number and hours of polling places? Why have states like Florida and Texas made it harder to register to vote? Is that not suppressing the vote?
Okay, here you go. I went to Texas, find out how you register to vote. See the suppression that's going on. You guys ready for this? This is super suppression too. I don't know how anybody's going to do this. Now, you can do it in person at your county voter registrar's office. By mail, you can pick up the registration application from your county voter registrar's office, public library, government office, or high schools. Then you can do it online. You fill out your registration application through an online portal. You print, you sign, and you mail in your application. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? That is insane. That has disenfranchised everybody. What about people who can't see? They didn't see what I just was reading. Now, you must have an ID. Driver's license, election identification certification, personal ID card, handgun license, military identification, U.S. citizenship certification with person's photo, a U.S. passport, book or card. Oh! It's not about killing the filibuster, because I don't think all of them believe. I would like to think that the majority of Democrats, who, by the way, used the filibuster last week to squash the Russian sanctions that would have gone into effect that included the gas pipeline. They did that last week. They used it. They used 328 times, a record against Donald Trump from 2019 to 2020. Soak that in for a moment. It is about grandstanding. Both sides do it. You got to come in and you got to say your stuff. Mitch?
This fake hysteria does not prove the Senate is obsolete. It proves the Senate is as necessary as ever.
And why does he say that? Because if you got rid of the filibuster, you guys are no longer the Senate. You're just part of Congress. Right? You're part of the House. You know, you're just like the regular part of House. Right? Yeah. You're here we are, Congress, but we're separated. But no, you're the regular part now. You just have a term where it's you got 6 years. Why even have you at that point? Well, Chad, you're being silly. No, you're trying to change the rules to fit something. A majority of these states that are going back to where they were pre-COVID. Is there some overreach? Of course there is, because you've got people who are lunatics. There's also overreach on the other side, who feels like you don't need an ID, show up whenever you want, vote for whoever you want, we'll count it. I've never bought into the big lie. Never, ever, ever, ever. Ever. I don't even think Trump bought into it. It's a great way to raise money. It's a great way to save face and say, I didn't lose. It was stolen from me, because he hates to lose. But at the end of the day, if you don't show me proof, and they've showed none, then it didn't happen. But this right here, you should pay attention to. Because Kirsten Sinema has said it last week, but we've talked about it for years. Right now, the problem is we have too many celebrities who are more interested in sound bites and tweets and followers than serving their constituents and doing their job. And to do that more often than not, they appeal to the loudest, whiniest, screamingest bunch in the group. And those are the people that would eventually use this if you got rid of the filibuster. And we would go from one extreme to another. From one extreme over here to the right doing something and undoing what the last group did, to way over here to the left and that extreme doing something and then undoing what the last person did. We don't need that. The filibuster was put in place. Has it changed? Little incremental things have happened. But now when it comes to building and passing laws, raising the debt ceiling, little things like that are much different than what they're proposing. And it will come back and bite you.
The president and some of my Democratic colleagues have ventured deep into hysteria. So dire are the consequences, they claim, that this must be done by shredding the rules of our senior legislative body. They should not engage in a lie that Republicans across the country are making it much harder for minorities to vote.
But that's easy to do, because at the end of the day, it's much easier to look at you and say you're a racist. Because for many people, they feel, well, that's where the argument ends. I called you a racist, so therefore it ends because it must be so. Yesterday, people were saying, why don't you talk about this? I said, well, I'm going to talk about it on the day that they vote. And we'll touch, again, probably a little bit tomorrow, because I think it's important. And this is what politics is. This, to me, is politics. We're talking about something that's real, where we're deciding to scrap something because you want something passed in such a way because you know it'll benefit you. Well, why are they stopping it from happening? Because you're trying to rig a system in many ways that will benefit you and hurt them. If I told you today, Democrats, that everybody coming here from Mexico and beyond was going to vote Republican, you guys would build a wall and become the most staunch anti-immigration group about. Politics is always about trying to figure out how can I get an advantage. But you want to change the rules in such a way that you even admitted last week, one of your own admitted, Tammy Duckworth.
We can do the same thing for voting rights legislation where we're saying this is so critically important to our nation. We're going to suspend the filibuster the way it is for this one vote in order to make sure we protect Americans' rights to vote.
Yeah. So you want to suspend it right now just for this time? Yes. And she got mad at Kirsten Sinema because Sinema won't back it.
She's missing the mark. She said this before where she thinks that she's preserving the institution, that it's a blunt force that could be used against any party that's in the minority, including the Democrats once we are, if we're no longer in the majority. But frankly, we're talking about restoring the filibuster. We're talking about changing the rules for this one vote.
So wait, you're talking about changing the rules for this one vote. Let's play a game, shall we? Let's play a sport. Hey, we'll call it football. All right, here's the rules. When we have the ball, you guys can't tackle us. When you have the ball, you can't throw it forward and we're able to tackle you. But after the game, we'll put the regular rules back in place. Yeah. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Car Shield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. Your shop, the shop you choose. Cars, well, they may be in for another rough ride this year. With all the things that are going on, as I talk about Car Shield all the time and why you should get it to protect your car, used cars are more valuable than ever, and so is getting the parts and making sure that you're protected, especially in your wallet. Why do you need Car Shield? Well, as that price of your car goes up, it's only because there's a crunch on cars out there. And if your car was at a point where you're like, I have to make a decision, I don't think I can afford to do this, I might have to go try to buy something new and get payments, guess what happens? If you had Car Shield, you wouldn't have to worry about that. They take care of the cover repairs for you. All of the paperwork. Their administrators are amazing. It's truly awesome. Over 1 million drivers have been helped by that. And it doesn't matter if it's your engine or you're worried about the electronics, whatever it is, they have a budget and a plan that fits what it is that you're looking for. Maybe it is only the engine. That's all you care about. Boom, they got a plan for that. Maybe you're worried about the electronics because your engine, like, it's okay. They've got a plan for that. Go to carshield.com/Benson today. You're going to save 10% right there. Try it. You won't be disappointed, especially with the way that cars are going. Protect yourself and your wallet. carshield.com/Benson. carshield.com/Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man. Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
So, 5G supposedly kicked off today. I've had 5G, the phone. If you don't know what 5G, it's supposed to make everything that much faster, right? You had 3G, 2G. Here we are now. 5G is supposed to make everything super lightning fast. Two problems arose originally. First of all, some people were insane and thought, oh my gosh, 5G is making me magnetic along with the vaccines, which wasn't true. The other thing was many phones were essentially, it says 5G on your thing, but the phone itself wasn't capable of doing 5G kind of stuff. Then you have, that's just for the consumer and the average person. But then you had something else. It wasn't ready. And then when it was ready to fire off, yesterday we learned, we're going to ask you not to do that because airplanes may have issues with where the 5G and their altimeter kind of cross, and that's a bad thing.
That stronger 5G signal is very similar to the frequency of a plane's radio altimeter. That's a device pilots use to judge their distance from the ground. Without it, pilots may not be able to land, potentially leading to thousands of diverted and canceled flights. Not just passenger flights, but cargo too. And airlines say it would have been catastrophic.
Yeah. So they said, all right, we won't do it. But then today they did turn on a good portion of a lot of 5G, AT&T and Verizon. And because there's only a certain amount of airports were affected, but a lot of planes around the globe are like, well, I don't know if we're going to fly to America now. It's become a giant mess. And part of it is the FAA. People look at the FAA, especially these phone companies, going, 2 years. You guys had a chance to fix this. 2 years. We've talked about this. 2 years, and now the day before, you're like, you guys, we're going to ask you not to do it. In particular, around certain airports. So some places you may be fine. One of the things that we've been talking about is, well, we'll turn it on, but when there is takeoff and landing, those areas that maybe those things won't be turned on, so you won't have it there.
AT&T and Verizon have turned on their new band of faster 5G service, and even though they agreed to keep towers off around airport runways for now, the FAA and airlines are warning there could still be canceled flights because of some areas where the service is on. But overall, flight cancellations in the U.S. are relatively low today, lower than they have been for weeks because of weather and COVID. Sick calls, under 200 flights have been.
That's it. Only 200 flights have been canceled because of sick calls. That's good. But you should have done better with this. And it shows you that, like yesterday, they're sending out masks now, right? That's a new one. I don't know if you've been on to the COVID, get your free COVID test. I will say it's very simple. I went on yesterday in a commercial break as I argued with my on-air partner for my local show. And I went on at a commercial break, myself and our news lady, and we both got our little things. Now, when will they arrive? They're like, well, you don't know when they'll arrive. It's like 7 to 12 days. I'm like, Omicron's going to be gone by then. But at least it was simple. But once again, The reactionary movement of the government, now we're sending out masks, shows you the BS and the insanity of bureaucracy. And you look at the FAA, all you have to do is look at the FAA and say, man, what happened with those 737 MAX? They had a lot of issues. And then you start looking and finding out, well, some people, their hands were greased and some things got by when, there was pressure on. And these are the same people, the FAA. So I'm not surprised that there was a delay in this, because I just look and go, that's all you need to know right there. Even with the test. South Korea had a test within days. It took us months to get a test that was worth a damn. Why? Because the government bureaucracy and the wheels turn slow when you're in sand and syrup going uphill in a windstorm. That's government right there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
If you're a Republican and you're running, you're a Republican and you're running, and you're thinking to yourself, what is going to be my campaign? What are we going to do? How can I frame it? What are the commercials going to sound like? They should sound like this.
Who can budget? You just have to pay the price.
Americans, on average, paying about $250 more for the same things they were buying a year ago. Gas topping the charts, up nearly 50% from a year ago. Same for furniture, up just over 17%. And food, up 6.3%.
What I used to buy, let's say last year, that would cost me around $50 in groceries, almost doubles right now.
And at the pump, prices soared to over $4 a gallon in some states.
And then you should put, vote for me, and your campaign should be skyrocketing inflation. That should be your yard signs you put out there, and any of the stuff that you see at the gas pump, because that's the one thing we absolutely feel. Absolutely. Because we're reminded of it every day that we drive. You may go to the store once or twice a week, if that. Usually once a week, once every 10 days, right? Get groceries, families, and stuff. And you don't feel it because it's, it's sometimes you don't get the things that you want. But it's death by 1,000 cuts and you don't feel it. But that gas pump, over and over and over and over again, you go, and that $20 that used to get you 10 gallons or whatever is now getting you 5 gallons at best, 4.5 gallons, because you got to get somewhere, $40. It used to take me $40 to fill my tank. Now it's $73. You feel that.
Last month, gas prices dropped by 0.5%. But for this Lyft driver, he's still burning through gas to find customers and burning a hole in his wallet.
When there's no business, you have to drive too many miles to make less money. You spend too much on gas. What I used to buy is now double.
And the higher prices are even scaring some drivers away. Tommy Hondros owns this gas station in Lower Manhattan and says he used to have a line of cars.
150. Look how many I have now. One. It's insane. I used to have people come and fill up. Now they just, let me get $5. Let me get, I've seen $2.
Crazy. There is what you're running against. You're running against high inflation. You're running against a president that seems to not only want to address inflation in a way where he's going to get out there and seems to be fighting for you, he doesn't even want to talk about it at all. I mean, at all. People feel it in their wallet. They'll feel it at the ballot box. That's something you can take home. If you're feeling it, know that who's ever in power probably going to feel it as well. Oh, he's getting test out. At this point, can we just all admit that this isn't working the way that they thought it was going to work? I think he thought he was going to come on in and this vaccine, everybody was going to be, apt to go and get the vaccine. And lo and behold, they started, a good majority of people went and got the vaccine, but then it was a fight and it still didn't seem to matter. Part of it is because we're an unhealthy nation, and you know that, and I know that. And because of that, there's a lot of people that were sick. You had the skewing of much of the data. A perfect example is yesterday they're like, about the 800,000, probably about 30% of them were 85 plus with several comorbidities. Oh, we got the vaccine now. Now we got the booster, but here comes Omicron. What's Omicron do? Omicron just gets around the booster. It's no big deal. It's not a big deal at all. According to the latest study, and again, there'll be several of these, was published Tuesday in The Lancet, that it doesn't stop it at all. The booster does very little to stop it. The vaccine is weak or rendered useless. That's not good at all. The one thing they've said, vaccine or no vaccine, is a vast majority of the cases are very, very mild. We got so into the numbers, right? It was 1 million people got sick. And they test. Testing positive means nothing. Are you sick? Yeah, well, yeah. My work wanted me to test. Or how many of those people were asymptomatic, but they felt, well, I knew somebody who was sick. We're not focusing on the right things. And this goes back to how are we going to get ourselves back out there? Vaccines are one thing. And I am not an anti-vaxxer. I asked the question yesterday. After you've told me on numerous occasions and also moved the goalposts and also changed things, and now you want me to have a fourth one and potentially a fifth one, at what point in time is it okay to say, as a reasonable human being, I'm not sure I'm going to be listening to everything that you're saying at this moment in time because I feel like you're playing catch up to something you don't quite get. And then somebody says to me, well, you don't know what the coronavirus can do to your long term. And I said, well, you don't know what this thing might do to your long term. Do you? You don't know 100% certain. Well, I'm sure they wouldn't lie to us. They wouldn't. Government wouldn't lie to you. It's the beauty of the government is they always lie to us. That's what they're about. They're completely disingenuous. The government would never come out and say, look, it didn't work. Because they would have to admit they're wrong. The school debacle last year, over 18 months. Some people are saying it is the equivalent of bad decision of the Iraq War when it comes to the damage possibly could be done. I've seen it firsthand with my little brother. So they'll never apologize for that. We need more than just vaccines to get ourselves through this. But one of the big things to get ourselves through this is going to be our mind saying it's time to get through this.
You're very much depressing me right now.
You're welcome.
I guess when you were looking forward, are you putting more stock in vaccines, maybe a vaccine that will be able to just stop this in its track? We haven't seen that with Omicron. Or are you going to put more stock into therapeutics?
We need both. We're going to, I'm certain, see new and improved vaccines coming down the pike. We're going to have COVID vaccine 2.0, 3.0, maybe even 4.0. In addition, the therapeutics are going to play a huge role.
Therapeutics. So right now, if you got the flu, they have therapeutics. You don't feel good, you get this, take a therapeutic, feel better. One of the other things, and at some point, you've got to have something that's strong enough to last a year, but also a therapeutic that will game change. Because we're not going to turn therapeutics into politics. You don't feel good, you go to the doctor, you get something within a couple days, you feel better. But people may still die. People may still die. Yesterday, 2,000 people died. 2,000 people died yesterday from heart disease We don't have numbers splashed everywhere. 1,600 from cancer. We don't have numbers splashed everywhere. Stop looking at statistic porn. Stop it. Therapeutics will be the way, but it's also the mind. By that, it's taking that first step, realizing you have to get out of this insanity that we're finding ourselves in over and over again. We have to. We absolutely must start to live our lives in a real way. Not where you have people who are terrified of everything and who are saying things like this right here. I just find to be everything that you need to know about people who are just living in a perpetual state of fear.
Every time this happens, I just walked into a restaurant, I had my mask, and people were waiting, not eating, without masks on. What the people? Wear your mask. Wear your mask. It's the law.
That's just, you're waiting, you're not eating, you're waiting, you're not eating. What are you doing? But the mind can do stuff that's insane. You know, one of the things I was looking at yesterday, I was reading this thing called, they call it the so you guys know what a placebo is. For those of you who don't know what a placebo is, when they do blind study groups, they'll give everybody something that looks the same, but one will be the actual pill or the shot, and the other one will be a sugar pill or, shot of saline. You're getting something, but nobody knows what it is. And part of that is because is the mind tricking your body to thinking you've got something. And because of that, whatever ailment you think has potentially goes away. That way, you know the efficacy of how good it is. You got 10 people in each group, and, they all have the same thing, but 9 people on this side got better, and nobody over here got better. You're like, well, the placebo didn't work. But if it's kind of scattered throughout, you're like, this thing doesn't seem to be very good. One of the things they talks about is the nocebo effect, which is people are anticipating getting super sick and worrying themselves in the sickness if they catch this thing. Same thing goes with side effects. When I went to get my shot the first time, I go and I get it. They're telling everybody in there, you're going to get really, really sick. You're not going to feel good for a couple days, and da-da-da-da. And I looked right at him. I said, no, I'm not. You're telling me I'm going to do those things based on what? Something you've heard? Well, you know what I mean. No. It's nuts. This is the craziness of which it is. At some point, part of that effect of getting back to our lives is taking the first step and saying, you know what? I don't need to wear a mask 24/7. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Part of taking that first step is to realize that somebody at work may not feel good and they've come in today. But we're going to learn to live with it. Well, you shouldn't do that. No, we shouldn't. I think in hindsight, one thing that's come out of this is we all look and go, you know what, maybe when there was times when I was sick, we went to work or this, that, and the other. I think people be a little bit more understanding about that because how many people have worked through being sick? Pretty much everybody I know has gone to work sick in some way, shape, or form because they don't want to lose those 6 days for being actually sick. So weird. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Calibrate. One of the things we were just talking about is being healthy. Calibrate is amazing. So it's not a diet. Well, what is it then, Chad? It's FDA-approved medication paired with lifestyle changes. So because we all know extreme diets in particular never work. And part of the problem with so many people saying, well, my willpower is this. And how many people you know, even yourself, where it's like, I don't eat a lot. But I'm not losing any weight. What's happening? And part of that is your body is trying to save itself because they think it's starving. So metabolically, it's just kind of frozen itself. Brumation, which is where it's kind of like in a hibernation state. Well, a metabolic reset will allow your body to actually reset in an area where your body feels comfortable and continues to burn. That's what you want. That's what Calibrate does. On average, their earliest members lost about 14% of their body fat, well over the 10% average weight loss seen in clinical trials. And part of that is because you can get one-on-one video coaching, in-app tracking, and a community to work with, as well as medical care, including a video doctor visit. Try it right now. It fits into anybody's busy schedule, and it is simple to do. And we like convenience. Your weight doesn't reflect your willpower. Get back in control with Calibrate. $50 off the one-year metabolic reset when you use promo code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. That's $50 off when you use CHAD at joincalibrate.com. Joincalibrate.com. Save $50. Use the promo code CHAD. Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
So, Florida's awesome. And it's crazy. Florida, man. I always joke about you step in a puddle. Be careful. It could be a gator. It's not the only thing that Florida has wild animal-wise. And I'm not just talking about the snakes and the lizards and all the stuff. There's other stuff out there that could get you. We thought it's awfully late in the year to not have a Florida attack. Well, coming from Florida, as we know, nature will mess you up. But this is not a gator nature. It's a bear nature.
Okay, where is she been? Okay, I'm sorry. In her hand, right? In her hand and her face and her back. So she was attacked, actually.
911 calls summoned emergency vehicles Thursday night to this DeBerry neighborhood after neighbors helped save a woman from a mother bear protecting her 3 cubs.
I took off running that way. She running behind me and she grabbed me by my children and I faced the ground.
Yeah. Few things they tell you never to do. Run from a bear. Now, sometimes you think, did the bear come up with this? But when you see a bear with their cubs, or if there are cubs around and you don't see the mama bear, you get away from them at a respectable pace while making yourself loud if you see them. But mama bear, there's a reason they call you mama bear, papa bear, because your bare necessities, those simple bare necessities of tearing you apart, will come because they will protect at all cost.
Heidi, who didn't want to share her last name, suffered scratches on her face, a concussion, and bites and scratches on her lower back that required a trip to the hospital and stitches. This is how she looked minutes after the attack when deputies and paramedics arrived. She had just stepped into her driveway with her dogs, Amaya and Hemi, when the adult bear chased and tackled her by the street. Scary experience?
The worst of my life. Yes, I feel lucky to be alive.
Yeah. Surprised the bear didn't finish you off. But of course, what happens when you have a bear attack? People want to know, well, where's the bear? What do we have to do with it? It's always about killing the animal.
Another couple was here on the street and saw the bear coming down from that pine tree and coming at them aggressively.
The bear came down because she had 2 cubs, came down, went after her.
Finding the bear in this tree when they arrived, Fish and Wildlife officers tranquilized and euthanized it, while other neighbors watched and wondered if it could have been spared.
And unfortunately, the neighbor got scratched up by the bear, and she's fortunate to be alive, I guess. But as far as euthanizing it, why not relocate it?
We can't have bears living in neighborhoods that are willing to hurt somebody. We just can't allow it.
Yeah, and that's why usually in situations like this, especially with cubs, understanding it, this was a normal situation. The bear probably would have done nothing, and you may never have seen the bear. This was not. Cubs are around. What do? You euthanize, you move. No, you euthanize them? No. You usually tranquilize and remove the animal from the area. Now you killed it. All because Mama Bear was doing Mama Bear stuff. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Solid fun show. We got through the day, did some woke stuff. Of course, talked a lot about the filibuster, Omicron, and the economy, and a bunch of stuff in between. We'll have more on, obviously, the vote and what takes place with the filibuster and the fighting back and forth. But if you're serious, read about it. That's the one thing I always tell everybody to do. Don't take my word for it. Read about it. Understand what you're angry about or what you're excited about before you go and go, oh, I need to make a judgment and give an opinion about something. Have a blessed day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night, Night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.